So I really want you to tell your story and introduce yourself. How did you get into cheer? A little bit of your background.
Yeah, so my story is extremely long, like of how I got cheerleading. But first off, my name's Kollin Cockrell. I cheered at Weber State University, and I cheered for our country, Team USA. Those are the main teams that I cheered for. So a little bit about my background with cheerleading. I actually, before cheerleading, was an Olympic weightlifter, gunning to make the Olympics. Very extremely long story, but I'm going to make it short. I had a back injury. It took me out of the Olympics, or at least like proceeding onto the Olympics, and it led me to cheerleading. And it was probably the best injury I've ever had, because if I didn't have that injury, it wouldn't have led me to cheerleading. But definitely took a toll on my mental health and just like my mental well-being, with that happening. But it led me to a different path in life, and I'm just so grateful for that. But it's been such an amazing journey, like with cheerleading. Some of the accolades I accomplished, with the people around me, and all the adventures and memories did with cheerleading and even Olympic lifting. I just cannot be more thankful for where I'm at today. And definitely hence why I'm here to talk about mental health. It's definitely lots of pros but lots of cons as well. But that's a little bit about myself, my background, and like what I done and what I've where I'm from and what the teams I cheered for.
Oh, I did not know you were going to be in the Olympics for weightlifting. What? That's so
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, spent majority of my life training. Like my life seems like one big workout. And I was born and raised, in a small town called Salmon, Idaho.
Uh,
So there wasn't really much to do. So all I did, it was either get into mischief and get into trouble, or I just locked myself into sports and weight training and Olympic lifting. It was like I found out was like my best forte at that time.
Aw. Okay, so
Mhm.
for cheer, was there like a specific reason that you decided to cheer? Did you just like see videos or did someone cheer? What happened with that?
So I definitely have some people,
Yeah.
founding friends that are still very close to my heart to this day. A lady named Nancy Gildersleeve and a guy named Joseph Moorhead, then a guy named Dane Lobdell. They are the ones that actually revealed my potential with cheerleading, and they are the ones that like introduced me to cheerleading. And I didn't know what the heck it was really. I just knew what partner stunting was, but I didn't really know the full information of like the counts, the pyramids, the stunting, the routine work. Like I didn't realize like that's what it took. So, but meeting them, I met Joe and Nancy in Idaho, and I met Dane Lobdell in Utah. They're the people that really introduced me into cheerleading and made like me make history, or just they were the ones that knew me before I became like the RHINO or this, expert. So very huge shout out to them. I'm so thankful for them.
Aw, I love that. That's so cool. I love hearing
Yeah.
how especially guys got into cheer. I'm like, how in the world? It's so cool though.
Yeah, and like basically like the way they introduced me to it, it's like I didn't know what the heck like cheerleading was, but they showed me what partner stunting was. And it's very
Okay.
similar to Olympic lifting, like the explosive lifts, the snatch and clean and jerk are very similar to partner stunting. When you do like toss QB,
Mhm.
bind, extend hand, it's very similar movements. So you can say I had a natural ability or natural movement to partner
Mhm.
stunting due to my Olympic lifting background.
I love that. That's cool. And I feel like
Yeah.
most people think maybe with you because you are so strong. Like I've heard a lot of people say like, "Oh my God, he can just lift anyone. Like he's so strong." But I feel like even with Olympic lifting and cheer, you have to have technique no matter how strong you are.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, vouch for this. Like, she definitely, when I was first hunting with her, like, she was teaching me, and amongst like other flyers too, like this girl named Alyssa Hecox. Yeah, of course, Alyssa Hecox. Like, yeah, she was, you know, she was there, and then this girl named Talissa, Tasha, a bunch of other amazing flyers that really helped me. But they can definitely vouch and say that I used a lot of strength, like when I first started cheerleading instead of technique.
Yeah. But now you
Mhm.
need both.
Yeah, you need both nowadays. You can't manhandle the flyer when you're stunting. You got to use some technique behind it. A lot of technique.
That is so true. Okay, so
hmm
then after you cheered, you decided to cheer in college or what? How did that decision go?
So with my back injury with Olympic weightlifting, I was going to, heal up and go for the Tokyo Olympics in 2020. but just the stars aligned. I don't know if people believe in fate, God, destiny, whatever route you decide to do. I believe in God. God was the one that really showed me the path, that saying like, you had your amazing run with Olympic weightlifting. It's time for a different journey. And, it was, the feeling was right. It felt like it was good. But I just remember specifically that day when I met Dane Lobdell, he told me about Weber State.
Mhm.
He told me that they do this at this program. It's a very family unity, very strong, very competitive, and just a beautiful atmosphere at that program. And once he told me about that, I was still a weightlifter at that time.
Mhm.
I had to do a lot of thinking. I talked to my mom, I talked to my family, I talked to, my dad, and just basically told them I met this guy named Dave Lobdell. He was the one, like, that told me about cheerleading and partner stunting. And, me still being a weightlifter, I said, what, they offered me a position, a scholarship and a position
Wow.
to meet up with the coach and, possibly join the team. And I talked to my family about that. They were super against it at first, but they ultimately said, like, we want you to be happy, Kollin. We want you to do what you want to do in your life. It's your life. You should do what you want to do. So, made the transition from Olympic lifting to cheerleading. The rest is history. I just remember I was a weightlifter on Friday, made the process and exchange throughout the weekend. And my first practice was on Monday. This was back in 2015 at Weber State. And I just remember walking into the room, like they were having like a meeting, and I guess it was photo day that day. And the coach was like, hey, team, Weber State, this is your new teammate, Kollin Cockrell. He's very humble. He's a very kind person, and he's your new teammate. So welcome him. And I just remember thinking, like, what I get myself into. Like, I
Like, what
really
just happened?
like, I was training for the Olympics at one point, and I'm really giving that up to be a cheerleader. Like, it hit me, but honestly, it was the best decision I've ever made. And the stars aligned with the people, the journey, just the route. It was, I'm so thankful for it.
I love that. I love that you can just pick out that one day and that one feeling that just
Hmm.
got you to where you are today. I have that same thing, and I know that feeling. It's like unforgettable, just like that moment.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so
Mhm.
then Weber, and then um, let's see. You did all these. What about your partner stunt competitions?
Oh
So
my
I
gosh,
did you win how many times? Wait, once, twice, how many
3 times. I won
times?
UCA 2019, NCA 2019, and then UC NCA again in 2020. No, 2021. Sorry.
Wow. How is that competing? Like not ever competing, well, obviously for on a team, but like not ever competing just with a partner.
Man, so it was a wild adventure. Honestly, it was probably like some of the hardest things I've done, and like mentally and physically. So the thing, like what I did was, my flyers at that time when I won 2019 UCA and NCA, it was with a flyer named Mackenzie Graybaugh.
Mhm.
So, and then 2020 was with my flyer at that time named Elsa Hassett. Um, so basically, 2021, I keep on getting those dates mixed up because the COVID era definitely
Yeah.
like messed up a lot of.
Yeah.
But one of those flyers, it was an amazing experience. But all I did was like my training I did for the Olympics, when I was an Olympic weightlifter, all the, habits I did and built up throughout that process, all I did was apply it to partner stunting and cheerleading. And it worked, just the sleeping, making sure you get a good amount of rest, this,
Mhm.
eat good, time management, taking care of your body,
Mhm.
being, mentally healthy, physically healthy as much as possible. Basically what professional athletes did. I just applied that to cheerleading, and,
Smart.
it works. It basically works.
That's very smart, actually. A lot of people should do that.
Yeah, yeah, and the persona people get, like, it's definitely like a lot of people say Colin has like raw natural strength and like he's just gifted, but no, came with a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifices and dedication. And just the stuff training for the Olympics really taught me the principles of what it took to be the best athlete. And I applied that to cheerleading, and it just really works. And it's not a secret, it's just you have to get yourself to do it.
Oh, that makes my heart so happy because so many people that I've cheered with in the past, especially guys, they're always like,
Mhm.
I'm never going to be able to co-ed as good as this person and this person. And like, I'm just
Mhm.
not strong. I didn't get genetics like that. But I'm just like, nobody does. No one is naturally gifted at anything. You have to work hard and try your best to get somewhere.
100%. Like you got to put those hours in when you don't feel like it. You got to wake up when you don't feel like it. You got to eat this food, instead of the junk food. You got to go to sleep early, knowing if you want to train in tomorrow morning. And it just really works. It makes sense. Like the best of the best athletes in their craft, they just make it a habit and they do it. And it is a lot of pressure. It is a lot of mental strength to do it. But if you want to be that type of athlete, that's what it takes.
I agree. So,
Mhm.
how did you deal with all the pressure of where you're at today? Because you did get, especially this past year, huge on social media and like just in the cheer world. And I know that can be really stressful because the cheer world is the cheer world. So,
Mhm.
how did you push through that mentally and physically?
So, when it comes to social media, like, you're going to have your keyboard warriors and you just can't really take that stuff serious. You just do a lot of blocking, deleting, and just like letting go. It's not worth worrying about. The 5 by 5 rule. If it's not going to matter in 5 minutes or 5 days or 5 years from now, there's no stress. You shouldn't honestly stress about that. And that's one thing I had to do with like my therapy, was just being able to let go and just not worry about the small stuff. You don't sweat the small stuff. You look at the bigger picture in life. And then when it came to like, just being big in the cheer world and just becoming who I am, I really did not expect any of this to happen. I just was a guy that really enjoyed partner stunting, and just it is nuts. Just the world just really admired what I did and what I do, and it's still amazing to this day. So when it comes to the pressure, honestly, just knowing that it's okay not to be okay, knowing that it's okay to ask for help, knowing that it's okay to step away. And when you do that, you find out who truly is in your corner,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Life goes on. So basically just accepting, don't just not putting on this fake show, accepting these problems, letting go of these problems, and just being like, how the analogy of water on a duck's back. You just got to let it slide with some stuff and not sweat the small things. So it is a lot of pressure, still get like pressure every day, but
Yeah.
all I did like throughout my process of being the best athlete I could be, and also just like taking care of my mental health, is just taking those steps every day. And it's been life has been good ever since.
Good. I'm so glad because that does take a lot to step away from something that you love so much and that you've worked
Hmm.
so hard to get to. And that's like,
Hmm.
that's crazy that you did that. Like, I'm proud of you for doing that because that's such a hard thing to do. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was definitely a really hard, weird, FOMO transition, but
Yeah.
I honestly was like extremely like, going through a hard time. But when I made the decision to step away and focus more on my mental health, it almost makes me want to come back out and like come out of retirement even stronger, even like the stuff that I was lacking in. Like I feel like I can take that on a lot more stronger, and the things that were bugging me and the things that I was struggling with, and just how I felt as a person, it feels so much more stronger ever since I took that little mental break. And I'm ready to, honestly, you can say I'm ready to take the next chapter, whether it's like any type of thing, either coming out of retirement or competing again, or even just like life in general. I just feel like it was a much needed thing I needed in my life.
I love that. And I hope you know that that's so, so inspiring. And I hope that does inspire a ton of people because not not a lot of people can say they've done something like that. Not a lot of people
Mhm.
can have like the confidence that they can go back in and do something even better when
Mhm.
they've left like that. Like that's
Mhm.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
So, okay, let's talk about males in the cheer world a little bit.
Mhm.
And I know you worked with you probably taught a lot of people how to stunt, I would assume.
Oh, I can't even count hundreds. They flyers and handful of stunters. Like, it's definitely a cool gig. Watching athletes grow. It's something I thoroughly enjoy doing.
I agree. Yeah.
Mhm.
So do you think you would want to be a coach? Or I mean, you sort of are a coach now, but like what do you have future plans to continue cheer or what do you think?
Yeah, so definitely have a future plans. It's not announced yet because I'm still trying to figure out guess the process of
Yeah.
things. It's not announced yet, but I will be returning back this coming season and will be competing again in all these awesome competitions. And coaching wise, like, yeah, that's definitely going to be a necessity. Like, that's definitely going to be one of my future plans when it comes to my occupation. I just love helping. I don't know. I just get the thrill of helping flyers get their school or get this new stunt, and even stunters, like watching them grow as well.
Yeah,
It brings joy to my, something I enjoy doing, and it feels like it's one of my passions in life.
that's so good. That's your purpose right there. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. And then comes to the male aspect of cheerleaders, you know, it's definitely like, I feel like nowadays it's starting to be a little bit more recognized, but it is a little femmy, you know, with like the cheerleaders, which is totally fine. You know, I love those type of people, like the type of guys that bring that side to cheerleading. It's very necessary. But when it comes to the male, like, you know, masculinity slash like, you know, just the riled upness, it's definitely a different role. You know, they definitely have to take that route, and just know, like, you know, the people in the outside world might think cheerleading is very girly, very like dancing and stuff, but no, real cheerleading is like, it's very difficult.
Very
And you know, when they get through that process and knowing that cheerleading is like extremely cool, you know, that I feel like the masculinity of cheerleading really reveals out to any type of people. You know, the ones that are very, you know, very in this category of cheerleading, the guys are in this category of cheerleading, this category to this category. Just knowing that partner stunting, or not partner stunting, cheerleading is hard. It's
Yeah,
like, it's legit like a professional sport. You know, they people got to just realize that, like, it's not just like a girly sport. It's very masculine. You have to be very strong mentally, physically, you know, conditioning, your strength, your mental, you know, what mental well-being, and
yeah,
just like even your patience, like, you know, such, since it is a co-ed sport, being in that type of atmosphere too, it takes, you can't be riled up, you have to be understanding like towards the girls, and you got to be understanding towards like the other guys too. So it takes almost every ounce of like language that you need. And then when it comes to the masculinity or just the male figure in cheerleading, yeah, I think it's way above and beyond. Like, it needs to be looked at, and it should be announced to the world more, like, no, this is not a girly thing. This is very, like, a very masculine sport as well.
yes, that's right. If anybody hears this podcast, we're announcing it. That cheer can
Yes.
be masculine too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I love that, and I do think that needs to be talked about more.
Mhm.
Um, what advice do you have for males who are kind of struggling with their mental health and being a cheerleader at the same time? Because I know a lot of co-ed boys on my team have had struggles in the past because they do want to get to like where you are at, like they want to be one of the best stunners ever, but they've had trouble just like mentally and physically about just like getting there.
Yeah. So my best advice for like the male figures and male like cheerleaders that want to become, like, you know, potentially one of the best or take it to the next level, is they gotta understand that they gotta enjoy the process. They gotta know that it takes time. It doesn't like happen overnight. The training, you gotta be able to, you gotta start from basics and build up. It takes time to like become, like, you know, one of the greats, or just like something of way above and beyond. A lot of people nowadays, like especially the guy figures, they want to get the skill like right away. They want to like be able to throw this skill. They see this on Instagram. They want to like, okay, I got to do this skill. I want to try this skill, but yet they haven't conquered these type of skills as well. So they got to know it takes time. You got to enjoy the process and know that you shouldn't stick to like one flyer. You got to start with like multiple flyers, because if you can hit it with this flyer, this flyer, this flyer, it just makes you so much better. So being very open-minded, understanding the process, understanding the journey, and also just outside of cheerleading too. If the guy's not like, the guy wants to hit this stunt, but you know, not saying this in by degrading by any means, but they're not strong, they don't want any muscle, they got to know, like, all right, well, I got to get to the gym, I got to get stronger. If I can't lift the girl, I mean, if I can't do push-ups that well, how am I supposed to lift a human, you know?
Yeah, yeah, very true.
Yeah, they just gotta be open-minded. They gotta know like the principles, the small little steps of what it takes. Those small little steps will all build up into the bigger picture. So, you know, just it's a very common theme with guys. They want it right away, but they gotta know it's okay. You gotta take your time, you know?
Yes, I completely agree with that. You got to check all the
Mhm.
boxes off before you get to the final.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Yes. Well, I know that you have Sunday with a ton of different flyers and a lot of flyers in the cheer world, and especially on my team, they kind of say like, I don't know if I could co-ed stunt because I don't look like this flyer, and I don't look like all these tiny girls. So do you have any advice on kind of the flyer image, I would say?
So yeah, so the flyer image. So typically you got to almost know your role. Like, not saying this to create anything. It'd be me like knowing like I want to tumble. Like my body's just not built to tumble. If I practice it and do it and work on the technique, yeah, I can do it. But like you got to know your role when it comes to cheerleading. If your strength is in this role, that's totally fine, and you got to be okay with that. But if you want to take something serious, so if I took tumbling serious, yeah, I know I can, be a great tumbler if I wanted to, if I put the time and energy and training into it.
Yeah.
But I just know my strength into partner stunting. So when it comes to flyers, they just got to know what their role is and like what they can offer best to the team. Because if they're really great at this one, that's probably their position on the team. But if they do want to, like, in their own personal goals, if they want to be able to push and try to become a better flyer, then they got to know like the principles, and these are the steps of what it takes. And a lot of flyers, like in my personal opinion, are extremely strong. They're not,
Yeah.
they go to the gym, they work out, they get like lean muscle, they're very explosive, and they got to know, like, even though they're the ones that being lifted, they also got to be able to lift their own body weight. They got to be able to stick these certain positions so the guy can be able to throw them. And I've stunted with flyers that are itty bitty, it's like tiny, that are hard to stun with because they can't squeeze. And then some flyers that are like on the bigger range, or just like the more muscular range, that are like, this size, and they're super easy to stunt with because they know how to squeeze. So when it comes to that, they got to also treat it as like, okay, if I want to go for this type of position on the team, these are the principles I have to follow to be the best flyer I can be, or the best tumbler I can be.
Yes, I love that you say that. Flyers do need to be strong. They need to have strength. And I feel
Hmm.
like it's not really about size anymore. It's just really about like your strength and your talent and what you're skilled in.
Mhm. 100%. Because yeah, nowadays, like flyers, like I've been blown away with like certain flyers of like, their size, but how good their body awareness is, and like how strong they are in the air, how tight they can squeeze. So yeah, you're totally correct in that.
Yes, I love that you say that. And I feel like that definitely needs to be talked about more in the cheer world too.
Mhm.
Just like
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing these baby flyers like on all-star teams that are like senior teams. Like
Hmm.
it just bugs me, but I feel
Hmm.
like it needs to be shown more that you need to have strength.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And a lot of things the flyers will do will be kind of unhealthy habits to
Mhm.
like lose weight. And they got to know, like, there's so many different ways, even for guys too. There's so many different ways to gain weight for guys, to gain weight healthy. There's so
Mhm.
many ways to lose weight for guys as well, and girls to lose weight healthy. Just making sure you do it. Everything you do is just you gotta be able to take the principles and the right approach. And there's so many different ways instead of doing it the unhealthy way, which is very frowned upon in the cheerleading world. I feel like a lot of flyers do, like, they do have this body image and they should be like this, so they decide not to eat, they decide not to drink water or whatever. But they got to know, like, there's so many different ways. It just takes time. And the thing is, the so many different ways are the healthy ways, and that's the best route. In my personal opinion, the best route is always doing the right way.
Yes, I completely agree. I could not say that more. Definitely a
Hmm.
lot of flyers do, and I've had experience with that. And like, I feel like it takes off that part of your life. Like, if you lose weight the unhealthy way, it will take off parts of the life that you love, and it'll take off some talent that you have. So I
Oh,
just
for sure.
think, yeah, people need to like really understand that it's important not to lose weight in an unhealthy way.
Yeah, and just they got to know the future plans too. They could definitely
Exactly. Yeah.
do some stuff to your hormones, and just like
Yes.
and just like even like future, if you want to have kids, it's definitely going to take a lot of damage. But and any flyers that are watching this right now, like that have suffered from that,
Mhm.
they can definitely overcome it. There's
100%.
definitely the damage, but every damage can always be repaired in anything.
Yes, yes, I agree, and I have been there, and there's always a way to recover. You can come back from
Hmm.
it. Not saying you should do it, but there is, if you have done it, there's ways to come back and become a healthier version. So,
100%. Hmm.
well, what future plans, or like, let's say, so are you graduating college? Like, how are you
Oh
still?
yeah. No, so the thing is, I have my bachelor's. I have my bachelor's in health promotion. A lot of people, I mean, I haven't announced it on Instagram or just social media, but yeah, I am done with school. But I do still have that one golden year that I did not use because, stepping away from my mental health, I
Yeah.
still have that one year to use. And that's TBA right now. But yeah, when it comes to school, so I do have that one golden year. I was thinking about getting my master's or just doing like classes to, just the extra classes so I can, yeah, further my education, and like I said, do as well. But when it comes to school, yeah, I do have one extra year of eligibility when it comes to cheerleading. But I was thinking about my master's or just taking classes to strengthen my knowledge for health promotion, my studies.
That's cool. Very exciting. I'm excited
Yeah.
to be updated on that for
Mhm,
the future.
mhm.
Um, oh, actually, I have another good question. So, obviously, you weren't in the all-star cheer world, I would assume.
Yeah.
So, when you do get to stunt and get to hang out with all kind of like the cheer celebrities, and I'm saying that in quotations because it's like that's not really a word used anymore, but some people know. How was that? Like, did you know some people that you were hanging out with have such like a big image on social media and in the cheer world?
Yeah, so when it came to that, like, I think everyone's like built equally, some people are just really admire. And the thing is, when it came to like the personalities or the people I met that are big in the cheer world that have been on the Netflix show, I admire every single one of them. I think it's absolutely amazing of what they do and like the represent, like I guess the presentation they give to the cheer world. I admire that immensely. But when I get to know them and hang out with them, I just know they're just regular people too. And I don't treat them any different. And I love them for who they are and admire what they do. And it's cool knowing that like, oh, this person did this, they did this competition, they were on this show, they are known for this ability. And I just admire like these type of athletes and actors, no, not actresses, I guess like celebrities. Like
Yeah.
I, I don't like, I guess you could say like everyone's like everyone's people and they definitely, I don't treat them like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I just
Yeah.
look at them as like awesome people. I really admire what they do. And when I get to know them, I'm like, wow, they're awesome people and they're my friends.
Oh, I love that. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone through kind of like, do you know what imposter syndrome is?
Imposter syndrome. Is that
Imposter syndrome. It's like when
yeah.
you like hanging out with all these famous-ish people, but you're like, why am I even here? That
Mm,
type of thing. You're like, how did I get here? Like, do I even belong right here, right now? That's like imposter syndrome.
yeah, I mean, I definitely had it. Like there's been definitely like episodes in like, my life where I was like, holy crap, like how did I even get here? Like,
Yeah.
do I belong? Yeah. So if that's the question I'm understanding. Yeah, I definitely had those days of like I remember going to like events, like Rebel events, L'Oreal, like, just competitions and Team USA. I'm like, is this really happening right now? I just felt like I was dreaming and,
Yeah.
yeah, thankful, very thankful for those days and events in my life.
Yes, I agree. Love that
Mm.
feeling. It's crazy. It's like you're like coming out of a dream or something and you're like, wait, what is happening?
Exactly. Yeah, so it's cool. Honestly, like it's a blessing. I just count your blessing. It's so cool to live in those moments and just be like, wow, like I did this, I accomplished this, or I'm good friends with this person, and now we're here.
Yep, I completely agree. I love that. That's
Yeah.
so sweet. Do people come
Mhm.
up to you and like fangirl over you? Like when
Yeah.
you're at the
Like,
Rebel events and stuff?
oh yeah, like so when it came to like, Team USA and then
Yeah.
even like other competitions I've been to, it's really cool. The way I look at it is these people, sometimes it can be overwhelming because like,
Yeah.
just be that image or just like kind of that like, I wouldn't say I'm like outrageously like well known, but I'm like pretty well known. But when that happens, it it almost gives me a happy feeling because like these people admire what I do and who I am. They want a photo, so I try to do the best I can to make their day, because they probably think like, oh, I'm going to remember this moment for the rest of my life. So I do everything I can to like, take a photo. And sometimes it can be overwhelming because like picture, picture, picture. I remember once like back in like Team USA when I was doing that competition, my cheeks got so sore from smiling so much and just photos. And then I couldn't even catch my breath. Like I turned my head and then this person want a photo, and then I hear my name behind this person want a photo, and it's cool. Honestly, it's kind of like you have to be mentally ready for that, but it's so cool because these people just it's crazy that like you when you live in the world right now, you're just chilling, whatnot. But it's awesome that when you get revealed or you go to these competitions or events, that these people really admire who you are and what you do, and like it's like the look on their eyes and this like their voice, it's such a beautiful feeling that like wow, like I inspire these people or they admire what I do and they know who I am.
Oh, my heart. That is the best thing I ever heard because that is so true. I really hope other people think like that too when they're famous. Not famous, but like have a big following. I hope people feel like that.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like everyone should, because
Yeah.
you know it's just like any type of actor, actress, sports athlete that you admire, you would be like, wow, like, holy crap, I admire this person. They did so much. And, you know, I just like me being like an athlete that I admire a lot of athletes. And if I ever got to meet them, I'd hope they have the same feelings I would have if someone would want to meet me.
Yes, I completely agree. Because like half of the reason you're here today is because of the people that want to meet you, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, it's a beautiful feeling. I feel like even like kind of the imposter syndrome. Sometimes like when people are asking for photos, I just look at myself as like a guy that really enjoys what I do and just
Yeah.
like just loves like tries to love life to the best of like the most of it takes life to the most of it and just like whatever craft I have, like I try to go after it as much as I can. And I don't think anything of myself like that. And when people come up to me like that, it's almost like, oh my gosh, is it this real? Is this really happening? So it's like that same feeling.
Oh, that makes me smile. That is so sweet. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say? Any last advice for the cheer community or anything else you want to, talk about?
Yeah. Well, so when it comes to like the uh wellness, mental wellness and just mental awareness month, just got to know that things will get better over time. The right people come in your life, the wrong people will leave your life. And you really just got to know that things will get better. And you just got to surround yourself with people that love you for who you are, admire what you do. And when you are in those thoughts and those feelings of like, the lowest of your low, that I've definitely felt like this past year is definitely one of the biggest and hardest things I've ever, challenge that came up in my life. And it was one of the biggest challenges I've ever faced. Any type of competition. This was definitely the biggest competition in my life. You got to know it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to, take time to yourself. And the ones that do understand, those are the ones that truly love you. And the ones that don't understand, that they go, people come and go in your life. And when it's okay not to be okay, and just sticking to a plan and sticking to your faith, I ultimately highly recommend that because I've never been so close to God in my entire life ever since this month. Or just since the route I decided to do, and I've learned so much more about myself, and I learned so much more of like the people I want to be around with, and just who I want to like, just happiness in my life. And I just felt like I was in a dark cloud for the longest time because I was trying to put on an image for
Yes.
so long. And the minute like I took that minute off, the real people came into my life. The people that wanted me for my talent, they left, and that's okay. And one thing people got to know is whoever's like battling depression or anxiety or any type of mental problems, you got to take a step back away and ask for help. That's my best recommendation. And life is too short. Like life is it's not, it shouldn't be spent living feeling like a certain way, because life is such a beautiful thing. And God has plans for you. So, and sometimes like those plans they hurt, but that's the right track. Sometimes like taking a step away and doing the right things. So that's like the last and final comments I have to say is it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to ask for help. And if you just trust the process and do things the right way, good things will happen to you.
Yes. Oh, that is amazing. I completely agree. And I
Mhm,
kind of think there has to be rain to make a rainbow. That's kind of my mindset.
mhm.
And just like God does have a plan. You just have to keep pushing through, keep following, and you know, there's a reason why you go through things because you will come out at the end.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, you know how. Yeah. Yeah, I love that analogy, and that's actually analogy I heard several times, and it's like it's such a, cartoon, I guess
Yeah.
the cartoon analogy, but it's so true though. It's so true. Like tough times will go, if you just keep on keeping on. Like the tough times will pass and the real people in your life will come to you, and you got to keep those people in your life. And you make the decisions that you make, they should be happy for you. And the decisions that you make for yourself and your mental well-being and what makes you happy, and just being around these people and trusting the process and asking for help, all spirals into a beautiful life.
Yes, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love your
Yeah.
mindset. So positive, so good.
Oh yeah, it's definitely changed. It's definitely like, I'm telling you, Camille, like ever since stepping away from cheer and just like, taking time to myself, it was man, it was a stressful thing. Like,
Yeah.
definitely like being a competitor for so long, being I was basically training since I was 8 years old. That's when I started working out slash fitness slash, you know, weight training, and just building up my body to where I wanted to be, the strength that I wanted. It was definitely nice, and nice, good mental break and a good reality check. And now I feel like I'm stronger than ever.
I love that. Self-care journey. Everyone needs one.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yeah, that's my final comments to that. But I life is beautiful. Life is too short and shouldn't dwell on the small things. Always got to be, no matter like what you're feeling the day, like bad day, you can always flip a bad day into a good day. Any type of situation, you can always flip into a good situation. And I just know if you're positive and you just trust the process, trust God, life is beautiful.
Yes. Amen to that. Well, thank you so, so much for coming on the podcast. Seriously, I appreciate it. And I know that this will inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, Camille. It was so cool to meet you and talk to you and just kind of tell you a little bit about myself. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And you're welcome back anytime to talk again.
Yeah, just,
Do
yeah, I'd
another
love
episode.
to.
Okay.